Uh, this is Asya Haq. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for MBO Partners, and with me is Sarah Condi, who is a Senior Consultant Services Advisor at MBO Partners. As we're just waiting for the rest of our attendees to join, I'd just like to take a couple minutes to let you know a little bit about myself and Sarah, and then to give you some instructions about how to look at the webinar and how to use certain features and functions in case you need to ask a question. So firstly, thank you so much for joining. We're very excited to have you here to listen and hopefully to learn some valuable tips about a future independent consulting career or how to optimize the career path that you're already on. My name is Asya Haq, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for MBO Partners. I come to MBO from a background of having been an independent consultant, also having run a company that helped those that were outside the workforce, either due to choice, circumstance, or life stage, find their right career fit. I'm really passionate about the independent work path. I believe this is a wonderful market and wonderful opportunity for people that have skills and talents to offer the workforce on new terms. And I'm also really excited to be able to introduce my colleague, Sarah Condi, our Consultant Services Advisor. She's been with the company for 4 years and has experienced both on the client side and on the personal side as somebody who's spoken with literally hundreds of consultants to give them specific career advice about any challenges that they might be facing as they move into this life path or try to optimize it. And not to mention that Sarah's just a whole lot of fun to be on the phone with and on a webinar with, because she's been running a radio show for 11 years. So I promise she knows how to tell a great story. So before we move over to Sarah to discuss the top 3 questions, I'd love to share just some basics about the webinar process itself, as well as some background on MBO. So firstly, just quickly to understand the webinar controls. There is a full screen icon that maximizes the presentation area, so you can really see what our slides offer in terms of content, although we will be sharing the slides afterwards. So don't worry, you don't have to capture or write everything down. You will receive it. The raise hand icon alerts the organizer that you have a question or comment, and the chat box allows you to send a question to the presenter. So those are just useful things to know as you hopefully participate and not just listen to what we have to say. So a little about MBO. So what MBO Partners is in the business of is really to make it easy for independent consultants and their clients to work together. And we do this in a variety of ways. We create a process that enables those that are aspiring or current consultants to become a part of our network and to be able to offer services to organizations of all shapes and sizes using our proprietary platform and business process. It's just a way to take a lot of headache out of the process of becoming a business of one and leverage a really rich infrastructure that stands behind you and really lets you stand alongside larger firms and seek business and win business with companies and offer services in a way that it's all about your billable time. It's all about being able to make the income and not worry about the details. And you certainly can learn more about MBO Partners at our website or by following up with me or Sarah afterwards. But that's just a highlight about what we do. So before we begin, I would like to also tell you about the MBO webinar series. This is something that happens the last Friday of each month. And what we do is we really try to focus on specific relevant topics each month. We do articles and blogs, but we try to lead up to really an educational webinar such as what you're attending today. We have things coming up such as how to calculate a bill rate for consulting, which is a really big question and topic, and that'll be kind of the theme for the month of February. We're going to be working on the topic of encore careers, the top questions for boomer independence in March, and anything you'd like to know about this series, or if you'd like to just be registered to know about the entire series, just email us at webinar@mbopartners.com. And just know that I think the way that we seek to do this is to really answer the common questions that we hear by speaking with hundreds of independent consultants on a daily basis. And sign up to be informed and enjoy kind of benefiting from our intelligence in this area. What I'd like to do is kind of move now to really frame up something that I think is really important, which is the top 3 questions to ask yourself as you become an independent consultant. You know, this is really, really critical and relevant to each of us as we consider what is not just the questions, but what is the right path for a person professionally and personally. And what I'd like to do really is move into segueing into Sarah's going deeper into these questions and sharing some of her expertise that she has acquired from having those conversations firsthand and from listening to other team members have that dialogue. A little tip, and this is really important, it's not just you that's considering independence today. If you're on the phone, you might feel isolated, you might feel confused, you might feel confident, but feel like, you know what, there's not a whole lot of people like me out there. And what I'd like to share with you is that there's a tremendous move to independence in the U.S. And this is something we know firsthand because we've actually done the thinking and the research. We created a national study in 2011, the first ever on independent work in the U.S. It's called the MBO Partners Independent Workforce Index. And there's some wonderful insights which I won't go into detail on, but there's a few highlights that I wanted to share that are really important. One is that independence truly does resonate across the generations. There's independence in every generation, as you can see from the slide. They tend to be, by and large, 30 to 49 years old. Nearly half have a college degree, and the average income is around $52,000. But there's many, many that sit at the higher end of the spectrum and have really built very financially rewarding careers at specific life stages and remained very satisfied with their career choice because they care about doing something they like. It's really important to them. It's as important or more than making the most money. They want to be in an occupation where it's easy to tell that they're making a difference, and they care about flexibility. Even more interesting and surprising to us when we first did the study was the statistic that when somebody tastes independence, whether it's through choice because they have decided to make a strategic exit, or it's through a transition, such as being laid off or feeling like they needed to make a change, only 1 in 5 want to return to traditional employment, and we think that that's really powerful. So that's just a little bit of a frame-up, and we do think there's some leading traits that we'll talk about in future series about how you kind of understand if you're going to be successful as an independent. But everything starts with the right questions, and I'd like to move to the first question and open it up for Sarah. The first question is probably the most important one to ask for a person as you really think about the relationship between work and life. Are you emotionally ready? Are you in the right mindset to go solo? And what do I mean by that? I'd like to share just some more details about what we think frames that question. There's things that we need to consider to understand if we're emotionally ready. Now, really, some of them are basic and some of them are a little bit more nuanced, but we know that these are the questions that are asked. Do I enjoy working independently? Do I have good time management skills? Is my family supportive? There's multiple questions, but I don't want to go into them. What I'd like to do is have Sarah tell us from her firsthand experience what she thinks is most important about this question. So over to you, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Asiya, for that introduction. A lot of people might not consider the emotional aspect when they're ready to go consulting, but it's a very big part of it. When I'm on the phone talking to consultants, I usually get an impulsive call, a large portion of people, and they say, hey, you know, I'm working next to somebody, the guy at the desk next to me, or my friend, or someone in my family is working as an independent, and they're making a lot more money than me on an hourly basis. So how can I get a piece of that action? And when I go to speak to them about that, I have to say, well, hold on a second, let's take a step back and consider what your employer covers for you today. So things that your employer does that you might not think about, they are subsidizing your benefits, so any medical benefits that you have, they're providing access to retirement, maybe they're matching that, maybe they're providing you with stock options. Really important that not most people take for granted is that your employer is guaranteeing you payment every 2 weeks, no matter what. And so it's not something that you want to be impulsive about. When you're independent and when you're going to decide to be independent or you're considering it, you want to think about, are you prepared to work not just a lot harder, but also a lot smarter? Not just in your specialized skill, but also in the aspects that go into running a business, like business development or sales, accounting, bookkeeping, all that kind of stuff. So you really need to be comfortable with multitasking and wearing many different hats. So a real-life example, I'm on the phone every day, and I talked to a consultant named John, and he had reached out to me. He was a data specialist, and he had real skill, knew his job, knew what the service he was providing, understood it, really ready to go. But then when it came time to writing his first proposal or statement of work to the client, he was a little bit uncertain about how to lay that out, about how he should negotiate his rate, what was too high, what was too low, how should he charge it, should he deliver by the hour, or should he make it deliverable by the hour, all things that you need to consider. And I would say most importantly in the emotional category is, do you have true passion for what you do? Do you love what you do? Because at the end of the day, you have to sell it. So you really want to exude a confidence, a positivity, and a passion. And be someone who's not just going to take no for an answer and is ready to push through the obstacles. You have to remember, when you're consulting, people are buying your service. So you need to be able to display confidence, and not be ashamed to talk as an expert. One last example in this area, I was speaking to someone named Jim. He called me. His first baby was on the way. He had done lots of research, and he wanted more control. He wanted to go out as an independent, and he was ready. It was the right move for him. He had come to that decision. So when I was speaking to him, he came across extremely confident. He was very sure of himself. I was immediately drawn in when he described what he was doing, what his skill set was. He came back to me a week later, letting me know he had closed his first client, and I wasn't surprised at all, just based on the way that he came across just to me on the phone. So really emotionally, what you have to say at the end of the day is, are you comfortable providing your own job security and not just relying on your employer to provide it for you? Are you comfortable with that? Can you provide your own security?
Sarah, that's really fascinating, and I think that there's just so much nuance to this, and I think that one of the key things that I took away when I first went out on my own is that it's a process, to let go of fear and to understand how you might value yourself.